Share a few highlights to set the foundation before he takes the stage. You may know Jordan as a 7-time #1 RE/MAX agent worldwide. He annually closes over $300 million in sales volume as an individual agent with only 2 assistants, no team, no group. He is an Inman Top Luxury Agent Award winner and author of Amazon's #1 bestseller, The Agent's Edge: Secret Strategies to Win Listings and Make Your Fortune Selling Real Estate, published by HarperCollins Leadership. As a full-time real estate agent for 34 years, he started off in the entry-level housing market with an average sales price of $200,000 before working his way in the luxury market. He has represented numerous celebrities and over 150 professional athletes. He took the main stage yesterday to accept his latest award, #1 Individual Luxury Worldwide. Please make some noise for Jordan Cohen.
Cat-like reflexes right there. First of all, I'm nervous as all hell because I'm not a speaker by any means, and even though I've done some of these before, so if you guys have heard me speak before, try to laugh at the same jokes because I don't have a whole lot of shit besides that, right? Also, if you have sensitive ears, I apologize in advance because I can't help myself, right? So we have a short window of time here. I want to kind of start first by saying I'm not paid to do this or anything like that, and I don't have like a canned speech or anything like that, so I'm going to kind of go around. But I want to try to give something that is useful, something tangible that will hopefully help agents to get some language that I've created to hopefully win more listings. I'll give you an example. So in my town, a couple weeks ago, there was a panelist group, right? And there was 5 or 6 really, good agents on the group. I didn't go, and there was about maybe 100, 150 agents in the crowd. And one of the agents said, the key to success, the key is physical fitness and nutrition. I thought that was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. If you think for a minute that not putting butter on your green beans is gonna get you more listings, you're crazy. So the real key to real estate, I believe, depending on your goal, if your goal is to make a lot of money, which I think should be the goal, is to win every situation, every interview opportunity, every opportunity to get in front of somebody to win. Because most sellers are going to interview more than one agent. By the way, how nervous am I right now? I'm a little nervous right now, so maybe you should. So thank you. So I also want to say, so I don't forget, totally unhinged or whatever, the new leadership team that we all work under, because that's what I'm the same as everybody in this room. I'm just a realtor. I'm a full-time realtor trying to sell as many homes as I possibly can and make as much money as I can so I don't have to sell real estate anymore. That's what everybody's goal is, right? To make as much money as we can. And I will tell you, I've been with RE/MAX now for, I think, 25 years, and the leadership team is amazing. Daniel, Eric, Chris, the new president, are really next level. You could feel the passion and the energy that they bring. So I think we're all in good hands with this. I think we're going to go some good places here. So I just want to give it up for the leadership team because they're pretty good. It's not an ass kiss or anything like that. I'm just saying. So again, getting back to why I'm here and where I think I can help everybody. I'm not going to give anybody any motivational stuff. I'm not going to have you jump up and down or massage the people next to you in the shoulders, nothing corny like that. What I'm gonna do is try to give you some of the nuggets, so to speak. That's a corny word, but some of the things that I literally do and say every day, which is listing presentation. And hopefully at the end of the day, at the end of our little window here, you guys leave with something that you didn't know before. Does that sound fair? So I'm gonna literally kind of get into my listing presentation, okay? So when I walk into a listing, first thing, this is the meat and potatoes of why I'm here, okay? So when I walk into a listing, first thing I always say is, sir, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to interview for the job, to work for you. One of the things I never say is work with you. I cringe when I hear a realtor say that. Really want to work with you. I can't wait for that. I put my ego aside, especially as you become a successful realtor, and you got to be careful not to be too egotistical, right? So one of the things that my research has taught me that most realtors, all they talk about is themselves and comps and production and all that stuff. So I kind of try to make them feel at ease. So I say, just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to interview today for the job to work for you. Just plain and simple. Sometimes they'll say, oh wow, that's great. And then I'll sit down with them, I take a quick tour. I don't want to spend an hour, hour and a half on a tour. So I take a quick tour, but I'll usually say, sir, I just want you to know, I appreciate this again, but don't think I'm not paying attention to what you say. But once you hire me, again, not work with me, but once you hire me, I'll come back with my assistant, I'll take detailed notes, because every realtor needs to know the product that they're selling. So I'm gonna wanna know this home as good as you do, so I can get a buyer to make the commitment to buy it. Fair enough? And they say, fair enough. So then I can kind of cut down some time on going through, but I pay attention. So when we're walking through, I try to hear the one thing that the seller says that is real important to them. For example, if you go into the garage and they say, you see the storage in the garage? It's unbelievable. That's what sold my wife and I, is the storage. So yeah, it's unbelievable, fantastic. And I remember that because I'm gonna bring that up later in the presentation when we start talking about certain things like price. All right, by the way, my man here from Peru brought me some coffee. Thank you for that, appreciative. Got my people from Brazil here, Pedro and Peixoto is amazing. Last year, I had the opportunity to speak in Brazil in front of 3,000 realtors, which was amazing. I went there and they were all with the translators. So I'm talking, and I know they're not hearing my voice because it's being translated, right? And I'm talking, I'd say a joke and nobody would laugh. I go, oh, fuck, this is gonna be a long day. But it was pretty cool, and I go, shit, because they don't hear my dialect, you know what I mean? They didn't know, but anyway. Back to what we're doing. So I say, sir, let's sit down. And I say to them, I say, first of all, again, thank you for the opportunity that I have here today to interview for the job. And that's exactly what this is. This is an interview for the job of working for you. So sometimes in an interview situation, I have a short window of time here, whatever time you allow, I have a short window of time to put my best foot forward and to hopefully convince you to have you be as confident in me as I am in myself. That's a big thing. I say that a few times. I say it at the opening and I say it at the close. My goal here today is to have you be as confident in me as I am in myself, that I'm the best realtor you're going to meet, that I'm the realtor that's going to get you top dollar, that I'm the realtor that's going to make this a smooth transaction. That's my goal today. And then if you say that enough, because I practice it all the time, you come off real confident, right? Confidence is contagious. Excitement is contagious. So if you're confident in what you say, you're going to sound really good when you say that. They say, great. And I say, so sometimes in an interview situation, we have to put our best foot forward. It's not an ego thing. And I recommend this to every broker. I say, establish a little credibility, whether you're number one in your neighborhood, whether you're number one in your office, or whether you just sold a home a week ago and say, I just sold the home around the corner from you, or whatever the situation is. Establish a little credibility. Or if you haven't sold any homes, say something to the effect of, I'm not going to tout my personal production. What's important is what I'm going to do for you. You know, whatever you got to say to make them go, okay. Now, it's easier for me when I could say I'm number one in the county, and by the way, I'm the number one RE/MAX agent in the world. It's pretty fucking dope. That's credible, right? So I get that. But I always wrap it around with, but please, and I recommend this to everybody, I say, don't hire me because of that. Don't hire me because of what I've done in the past. Don't hire me because of numbers. Hire me because what I'm going to do for you. All the numbers do is justify that my marketing program works. All the good sales numbers do is prove that my marketing plan is next level. I say that because I've heard in presentations, I evolve all the time, right? So I've heard in listing presentations like, well, that's great, but what are you going to do for me? What about me? That's all they really care about. They don't really care about that you were in the chairman's club. They don't really care about that. They care about what you're going to do for them. So I say that to them, and I know they go, wow, this is great. So I say, all that matters, all we're going to focus on today is what I'm going to do for you. Fair enough? And they say, fair enough. I also say that because, again, like I said earlier, and I'm all over the place. I don't have slides or anything like that, so please be patient with me, okay? Because I am nervous, so I forget things. So, but one of the things is all realtors do is talk about comps and about themselves. And I'm this, and my office is this, and my company is this. So I want to reel it in and say things that I know is going to be a little different than what they get to hear. So that's why I say it's all about you. And they say, fair enough? I say, fair enough. I say, sir, the job of a realtor is simple. The job of a realtor is to maximize the exposure of your property, to get as many people as possible to become aware of your property, to cast a very wide net. Then, when you get calls on your property, whether it's another broker or whether it's a buyer direct, to have the skill set that it takes to get that buyer to come see your house, screen them and vet them before every showing, to get them excited about your home, to talk about the benefits of your home, to try to learn what might get them excited, like the storage in the garage. So I know that they want to hear that. And then get them to make the commitment to buy your home. Does that make sense? Yeah. Again, this is a good line for everybody to say. The job of a realtor is to maximize the exposure of your property. Get as many people as possible to become aware of your property. And now we're going to talk about how I do that. Did you guys like that? Yeah. It's a good, comfortable way to start the presentation, because then you're diving into what we're going to actually do. So I established a little credibility. I talked about some numbers, but in a very humble way. I told them what they're about to hear, which is about marketing and all that. And now what we're going to talk about today is just a few of the things. I don't have enough time today to go through like my whole presentation. But as you could already tell, my presentation it's scientific, it's very detailed. I know exactly what I'm going to say when I'm in front of somebody and I go through a program of doing it. And at the end of the day, I'm going to win every time. Because it's impossible to be, you have to feel this way at least. I don't know if it's true, but if it's, aside from commissions and all that, it's impossible to be, let me back up a little bit. Price. We'll talk about some pricing strategies at the end. I talk about pricing at the end of my presentation. When I started many, many years ago, I went to a seminar and they said, talk about price right in the beginning. Because when you talk about the price, if you're so far off, why waste time going through your presentation? And I remember sitting there going, but I did it. But then I lost my first 2 listing appointments. I've already told that story a few times, but I did. I lost my first 2 listings, and I know why. Because I didn't give them anything to believe in my price. So I know whoever came after me or before me talked more about marketing than I didn't. It went right into price. So I've learned I didn't deserve the right to just talk about price. But if you give a fantastic presentation, which is the key to success in this, is a great listing presentation. I could talk about buyers, I could talk about all that stuff. I'm pretty good at all of it. But the listing presentation is I think the most important skill set any realtor can have, right? So if they say, Jordan, listen, this is your presentation, this is your listing. You're gonna get this, we know who you are. What do you think my home is worth? I, even at that point, say, I appreciate that, thank you. I still want to go through a quick presentation with you. The reason is I feel if you give a great presentation, you're gonna price it better. It's like going to a doctor. The more credible the doctor is, the more you're gonna listen to him, right? So if you give a fantastic presentation, even if you don't have to, you're gonna have more control during the inspection process, you're gonna have better control during the retrading of the inspections, and you're gonna have better control from the price. Because my goal is always, and depending how cocky I feel, I'll say, you don't want a realtor like me, you need a realtor like me to accomplish the goal, right? You need that. You need marketing that I'm gonna provide. You don't want it, you need it. Because to get top dollar in the market that we're in right now, you need massive exposure. Like I don't say like you need me or anything, I just say you need what I provide. I'm not that egotistical, okay? So, I've already kind of established all the things. So then I kind of get right into a basic, okay, which everybody does, which is photography. I talk about this, I wrote about it in the book that I wrote, but it's important because anybody could say it. I say, the first thing I'm going to do, Mr. Seller, is I'm going to have your home shot professionally. We're going to get my photographer out. We're going to shoot it at dusk. I know a lot of realtors only shoot in the day, but I need your home to pop. I need it to explode off marketing pages, explode off the computer. So I'm going to pay a little bit extra. I'm going to get my photographer. We're going to shoot it at dusk. We're going to shoot it before the sun goes down, as the sun's going down, and then after the sun goes down with all the lights. Does that make sense? See, what you just did was sound really smart, because it's important. I'm going to pick the right photos for social media, the right photos for print, the right photos for mail. For example, social media, Instagram, you want to use vertical photos instead of horizontal. It looks better on the page. When you use horizontal on Instagram, it kind of cuts it off. But in the MLS and the internet, you want to use more horizontal photos. So basically all I'm doing is making them go, wow. But a seller knows that, because they go through Zillow and they can see the difference between a good photo. So I usually say photography is critical. And a realtor that doesn't shoot the home professionally and can purposely pick which photos they're going to use. I also say, Mr. Seller, another thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to put 75 photos in the MLS, because most buyers get bored. And you're never going to see a photo of a bathroom where you see the toilet. You're never going to see a photo of a closet that's stuffed with clothes. I know what sells. I am a professional real estate agent. I know what captures the attention of the buyer. I know what gets them to come see your home. My goal through all the advertising that we're going to talk about, through the photography, isn't to sell your home. I don't want to put 75 pictures in there. That's not going to sell your home. What's going to sell your home is piquing the interest of a buyer, getting them excited to want to come see your home in person, so then I can do what you're hiring me to do, which is to sell your home. Does that make sense? And I go like that. You guys like that? Yeah. Right? Because most realtors, they go, I'm going to have your home photographed. Then we're going to put your home on. I'm going to win just on that, because I sound smart. I know the difference in horizontal, vertical. I say I'm going to pay a little bit extra and have it shot at dusk. I got to say how it's got to stand out against the competition, which is important. But I'm also saying, which is the truth, is photos aren't going to sell your home. I've never, maybe once, sold a home from a photo, from sight unseen. But at the end of the day, you're trying to get someone's attention to come see your home. So, again, listing, we all do it. We all have our home photographed. But sometimes if you describe it with a little more excitement, and what you're going to do might just be the difference between winning and losing. And surprisingly, that's my biggest win. Because at the end, I'll say, by the way, what did I do different than? And they go, wow, your idea with the photos at dusk was so amazing, because it's true. I want my, like, you know what I mean? Well, thirsty as hell. So, okay. So, and then, sir, now that we have the photos, then it's what am I going to do with those photos? First, let's talk about Instagram. Does everybody here have an Instagram? Okay, if you don't, you should get one, but make the decision on whether you want to use Instagram for personal, because like I know my followers, they don't care about, you know, me and my wife, you know, with beers in our hand on a cruise ship. I might do that like on a story or whatever, but if you go to my page, it's real estate. It looks good, it looks consistent, and I know the people that follow me, that's what they care about is photos, as a, real estate. So I'll say that. I'll say, with my Instagram, it's all about work. It's all about real estate. This is another line that I use all the time. I want you to understand something. When you're going to see in my presentation, it costs some money. I invest. I'm never going to say spend. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't spend a dime, Mr. Seller. I invest. I invest whatever it takes, because let's be real. I only get paid when I sell your home, not when I list it. So I'm going to invest whatever it takes to get your home properly exposed to the market, to get as many people as possible to become aware of your home, because we get paid well as realtors. I just am honest about that. By the way, the better your presentation, it's almost embarrassing for them to ask you to discount your commission. Because if you give a great presentation, kind of like I said earlier, they're gonna feel like they need you. That's when you know you gave a great presentation. At the end, when they go, man, we need this guy. We don't want to. Then it's almost embarrassing at the end to say, we do it for 2%. It's almost a little embarrassing for them to do that. And you'll be strong enough to say, no, honestly, I invest a lot of money, time, passion, and energy. Those are the 4 things I say. I'm going to invest a lot of money, time, passion, and energy to get your home properly exposed, to get as many people as possible to become aware of it. I'm going to show the home let's talk about that. Most people in this room probably use key safes, right? I'm going to give you a strategy that I used. I call career building. So I don't even own a key safe. I have a couple vacant homes that I might hide one, and then like my assistant has one, and then hide it, but very rare. Only if the seller wants it, and then we'll get one. I show all my listings myself, and I know that's hard when you have a lot of listings, but I do, and I talk about that. In certain parts of the country, I know the norm isn't to do that, but if you have time, and most of us have time in the market that we're in right now, we have that time. I would recommend, if you're in a key safe area, put on a key safe, but don't put in the MLS like that. Hide it and tell your seller, sir, I'm only going to use a key safe when necessary, because I want to show your property myself. I'm going to screen them, I'm going to vet them, I want to know everything about that buyer before they come in the door. I want to know what they do for a living, I want to know how many kids they have, I want to know their financials. Even if it's another broker, I'm going to ask those hard questions. A, it's good for you. You don't want strangers coming in your home just because it's cheaper than going to a movie. Two is it gives me a better chance to sell your home if I already know what's important to them. So I'm going to say to an agent that has the buyer, I'm going to say, what is it about this listing that got your clients excited? Oh, Jordan, it's got the pool and the big grassy yard that they wanted. So I say, great. So I'll say to a seller, I'm going to know that in advance. So when I'm skillfully showing your property, I'm going to casually say, and you know how rare it is to get the pool with the big grassy yard? But the main reason why I do it is career building. I'll give you an example. If you show the property yourself, most buyers today, not most, but a lot of buyers today, they get their realtors from Redfin, or they don't know their realtors. I show up on these listings and the realtor and the buyer are meeting for the first time, right? But when you're there and you're showing the property, and I always compliment the other realtor, your realtor's been great, communication's been great, I always make the other realtor look good, but I'm hoping they make a goof, because when that buyer buys the home and they go to sell it in 5 years, either the realtor's retired or they don't have any follow-up communication with their own realtor, who is that guy or gal gonna call to sell their home? Me. I'm the realtor they like. They know that I was there showing it myself. So every showing is like an interview. It might be 2 years, it might be a year, it might be 5 years. But I have listings active all the time that was represented, where they were represented by somebody else when they bought it, but now they go with me to list it. I don't do anything unethical. The best example of that is, anybody know who Brett Michaels is from Poison? Rock star, awesome guy. When Brett bought one of my listings, the first deal that I did with him, the perfect example, I was excited. Rolls up, rock and roll, bandana, the whole deal. He had his realtor, very loyal guy. He was loyal to that realtor forever. She did a ton of deals. A very successful guy. That guy owns all his own music, his own playing, the whole deal. And when Brett came, I was the listing agent. Did a great job, bonded with him, everything was cool. I told him how great his realtor was. 5 years later, his realtor retired, moved to Texas, and who did Brett know when he went to sell that house? Me. I've since done 5 or 6 deals for him. And I always think to myself, if my assistant had been at that showing, or if it was a key safe on that showing, it would have cost me a lot of money. So I always recommend, if you have time, show the property. Depending on how many listings you have. If you only have a few listings, you'll have the time. Are you guys still with me?
Yeah.
You're still with me. Okay. How am I doing? Great. Okay, cool. Fire this place. So now we're going to get into the Instagram thing. I say, Mr. Seller. So now we have photos. We're armed and ready. I'm going to do what I call my pre-launch. I'm going to do an email blast to tons of realtors. I'm going to spend a ton of time on the phone calling other realtors, getting them excited about your home. But I'm also going to put your home on my Instagram. And let me tell you why Instagram is so awesome. The reason why I say that is everybody says, I'm going to put your home on my Instagram. I have 100 followers. I have 1,000 followers. I'm going to beat you all the time because I don't talk about the amount of followers I say. I just tell them why it's great. I said, let me tell you why, and I'm building it up for the print stuff that I do in the mail. Let me tell you why Instagram is such a powerful tool, because I sell homes every year to people that might not even be looking for a home all day, every day, or to people that say to themselves, hey, and then I'll say what their home is. If the right single story with a view comes on the market, I'm a buyer, but I'm not on Zillow all day, every day looking. So this is why Instagram is such a powerful tool, because a good real estate agent is gonna bring your house to people and not wait for people to find your house. And how do I do that? Instagram. I'm gonna post it. I also know who all the brokers are that have the best buyers. I'm gonna direct message it to them. I'm gonna direct message it, so you don't even have to have a lot of followers. I'm gonna direct message it to people that I know might be looking. But you know, my goal is to have somebody that says, you know, this is exactly what we've been looking for. Let's call this guy. It might be their son that follows me. It might be somebody else, or they follow me, or their realtor follows me. But again, talking about what I said about earlier, the job of a realtor is to maximize the exposure. But just talking about Instagram that way is fantastic. Also, the area. I'll give you another example. I sell homes every year this way. I'll give the example like where I live, which is in Westlake. Westlake Village is a town, and everybody can do this. It's about a 15-minute drive from a city called Calabasas, right? So I'll say to them, I'll go, Mr. Seller, another thing is I sell homes all the time to people that don't even know where Westlake is. And this is obviously for a Westlake listing. But when they become aware of your home, let's say they're only looking in Calabasas, but then they become aware of your home is perfect for that buyer, they're gonna see it, they're gonna say, whoa, where exactly is, that's only 10 minutes further? They got better schools, better weather, everything about, I'm willing to drive 10 minutes further. So the job of a realtor is to make people become aware of it, versus going on Zillow, just typing in a certain zip code. Do you think that could work? Because I'm telling you, it works all the time. And they go, yeah. So I think you could do that with any city that you're in. Just if you're in Dallas, Texas, and somebody's looking, in the town 15 minutes further, just talk about that. And because what you're doing again in the interview process is making them see you are a pro, you are good. You only get paid when you sell it, not when you list it. I say most realtors celebrate listings. I don't. What I celebrate is the opportunity to sell it and get paid, because that's what I'm here for. That's what I celebrate. Realtors have a listing board. I don't have a listing board. I have a sales board. I'm like UCLA. I only hang championship banners. Also, because I'm in LA, I can say that. I don't hang Pac-12 divisional, titles. I hang national championships, which to me is selling your home. That's the national championship. That's my goal. And they go, oh, they're usually getting excited, right? I always recommend to everybody, practice your stuff. If you don't have a great listing presentation, well, hey, read my book, available on Amazon. But if you don't have a great presentation, think of one, create it, pick up a little bit of language from me or a top agent in your office, and practice it every day. Again, you have time if you don't make time, because nothing pisses me off more than investing tons of money in marketing in my geographical farm, sending out great mail, doing print ads, and then getting in front of a seller and losing to somebody that beat me. So the only way you're gonna prevent that is to be really good on the presentation. So we talk about Instagram, we talk about the difference between the city, we talk about how the exposure of it, people that might not even be looking. Again, you just sound really smart versus saying, I'm gonna put your home on Instagram. You don't have to talk about all the followers you have. It just gets, because you could say, I'm gonna send it to everybody. That's really aggressive. Here's my best line. I know I forget something like this. So you can say it. There's a good one. Mr. Seller, like an agent, I'm gonna say it slow. Mr. Seller, like an agent of an athlete or an actor, their job is a great sports agent is going to get their clients off the field promotions. Great basketball players like Anthony Davis, all these great players, they know they're going to get the max player. So what's the difference between a great agent and a not great agent? A great agent is on the phone all day, every day, promoting their client, trying to get them the Pizza Hut money and the Subway money. A great movie agent isn't sitting there waiting for the phone to ring. A great agent, Tom Cruise's agent, doesn't sit there and stare at a phone all day, hoping for commercial deals in Europe. His agent is on the phone all day trying to get him the best scripts. It's the same thing with me. I'm a real estate agent. The difference is your house is my star. So I'm going to spend all day, every day promoting your house. Do you guys like that line? It's really good. So I'll say it again because now I'm not as nervous as I was. Just like a sports agent or a movie agent, I'm going to spend all day, every day promoting your home. I'm a real estate agent. It's the same thing. The difference is your house is my star. And I only get compensated when we're both successful, which is when I sell it. Does that make sense? They go, yeah. So I'm going to work all day, every day until I sell it. That's the goal. That is the dream. And everybody, again, you sounded really smart. That's a good line to use, right? So, okay, we don't have as much time. So we'll go into another line. Not another line, but another program. I'm a geographical farmer. I'm a mailer, okay? I know everybody's gonna say, it costs money to do it. But if you do it right and you have a great presentation, it's gonna pay for itself. So I invest, and I was telling that, a lot of money in direct mail. And I'll kind of show you some of the examples I do. So when I moved to Westlake, like Amber said, by the way, how great is Amber? Man, like passionate about this luxuries. Man, it's amazing, like it's just so cool. So when I moved out my average sales price was under 200,000. It's not like a biography about me. Nobody gives a shit, but I'm going to say it anyway. So when my average sales price was under 200,000, and I did really good. What got me into the luxury was I actually got my first athlete, which was exciting. At that time, I had never even been in $1 million home, and he had just signed with the Philadelphia 76ers. And he said, "Hey man, why don't we look in Westlake Village? There's some great gated communities there." I lived in Northridge, whole nother town, San Fernando Valley versus Conejo Valley. I think there's some good gated communities there in Westlake. And I said, man, great gated communities there. I didn't even know where Westlake was. It was before the internet. There was no Zillow or Realtor. I go, amazing gated community. I said, oh, fuck, I better find out what gated communities are in Westlake. True story, by the way. So then I went out looking, but I was excited because I had my first $1 million buyer. And then I went and I previewed, and I looked at all these great homes, and I met the realtors, and they were all very nice. But at the end of the day, I said, they're not better than me. They're just in a position to sell $1 million homes. I was selling $200,000 homes, but I thought that I was better than them. Like, not arrogant or anything, I just thought I was sharper. I knew I'd have a great presentation, that I could beat anybody. So when I did that deal, I literally called my wife from my big phone and said, let's move here. If these realtors are they're doing like 30 million a year. I was doing probably like 15 or something. I said, I could do 40 million a year. My wife goes, really? Yeah. I mean, I never dreamt I'd do what I do now. But that's what happened. So I went and I moved, and then I got my first, so when I moved and I did that deal, I asked him to save the mail because I wanted to pick the right geographical farm. I could talk for an hour on how to do that. We don't have time. But there's some real strategies to picking the right geographical farm that you're going to invest. You're going to invest a lot of money to be a household name in an area of 500 to 1,000 homes, 2,000 homes. It's going to cost some money. But if you have a great presentation, it's worth the investment. It was for me. So what I did was I asked them to save the mail from everybody. So he would collect everybody's mail. I sat with my printer and I had a credit card. And I said, see what this guy's doing? I want to do better. Bigger, better, because I knew once I get an interview, I thought I was going to win, and that's how I got established in my area. So I do it to this day. I use it as a listing presentation. I use it to get business, and the way I talk about it. So can we talk about that for a little bit? So I'm just going to kind of show you. So I said, Mr. Seller, I have a really epic direct mail program. I'm going to directly, again, I only get paid when I sell it, not when I list it, so my job is to expose the home. So sometimes you're gonna sell a home from casting a wide net, but sometimes you're gonna sell a home from just dropping the line in the water. So I'm gonna directly mail, I'm gonna bring your home, because not everybody's on Zillow all day that might buy your home. There might be somebody right around the corner that says, you know, if Plan 4 came for sale with a view, I'd be all over that. But they're not looking. So it's my job, what you're hiring me to do, is to make them become aware of it. So I'm going to do a really epic mail. And I have different ones depending on the price of the home. This is kind of my go-to, and I bring out this. And I said, Mr. Seller, On the mail, I try to do a different shape because I don't want sellers to just throw it in the trash can like a postcard. So I try to do a different shape, a little more exciting. I'm going to direct mail your listing to past clients, sports agents, relocation services, and then for my areas, Amgen is the big company near, to their relocation director. I'm going to get as many people as possible to become aware of your home. Also, notice, Mr. Seller, I don't put a picture of myself. I'm not trying to sell myself at this point. I only get paid when I sell your home. So for me, it's all about your home. Remember we talked about dusk photography? Isn't this great? Isn't this a great mailer? Well, my logic, and then I do the thing. And again, I always say, I'm not looking to sell myself. I'm looking to sell your home. You're not paying me. I know a lot of brokers, half the postcard is of them holding a dog or being on the cell phone, something corny and goofy. Well, I'm not that guy. I'm a professional realtor. Of course, I have my name and contact, which I also find sellers will say to me, the way you represent your listings are so impressive, Jordan. Like when I get a call in my marketing area, so it's kind of nice. So the mail works for me. It gets me interviews. And that's all I can ask for. And if I sell one home a year because of this, it pays for it 10 times over. Again, you gotta, and there's another thing I'll say. I said, Mr. Seller, I know you're looking at it, you're going, wow, this guy spends a lot of money. Again, I don't spend a dime, I only invest. Kind of like a stock. I'm only gonna invest in a house. I don't buy a stock if I think I'm only gonna give myself a 20% chance of it going up. I'm gonna invest in a house that I gotta give myself a fair chance to selling it. So it's just like a stock, but the difference is I invest in myself. So yeah, I invest a lot of money, a lot of time, a lot of passion, a lot of energy, but I'm looking at investing in myself and in your property. So I talk about this. Well, the reason why I do a good postcard like this, because I kind of already ripped everybody else that does a basic postcard when I said it doesn't get thrown away. By the way, it doesn't even cost anymore. If you talk to your printers that want to do kind of like a cool mailer, right? And it shows all the people you're mailing it to that you're a better realtor. You represent your listings better. If you do, I have a kid in my office that I mentor. He's awesome. And I think it took him about 10 mailers before he got his first couple listing interviews. Well, he's a mini me. When I call today, he's the one that's going to take over a lot of my business. So it's literally like I refer him stuff, but he's literally has my language down because he hears everything. It's the way I'm building my next game. But this is what I do. And I say, Mr. Seller, I'm going to ask you that hopefully this is okay. It's all about your house. I'm going to send this to all these people. You think there's a 1% chance that this could work? I think there's a 1% chance that somebody could get a hold of this and say, wow, I'm looking for a single story Mediterranean. There's a 1% chance, right? I used to say a big chance, but they go, oh, I don't know. You know, human nature is to be negative. Like when you're a seller and you're grumpy, especially if it's expired or whatever. So I kind of brought it down to a 1% chance because nobody can argue with that. Because if there is a 1% chance, I'm going to take that 1% chance. And they say, yeah. And then, so this is what I mail out on every listing I get into my farm and kind of around the house, right? And then I'll tell you the other secret to building my geographical farm to get more listings. I do just solds. And then when I do it just sold, it's a little different than what I used to do is I do it less expensive and I just do one picture of the house, right? Because I'm at this point, when I do it just sold, I'm not trying to sell the house anymore. So it's just one just to kind of get their attention. I'm very classy and clean, say that I just sold, represented both sides, whatever I did, and the price. But then on the back, I do a testimonial and I block it out so a seller can say that. I recommend testimonials if you're gonna mail out. What better? Pro basketball players get paid millions of dollars to wear Nike. So it's the same thing. If you could get a seller to give you a testimonial, and even if you help them write it, like I do, is it okay? And I send it for proof. You interviewed 3 realtors, you went with me, I exceeded expectations, I showed the home myself every time, kind of like the same generic testimonial I do. Is that okay? And then I mail those out. Well, and my idea is if you get enough of these and you live in an area, they're gonna call me. I'm the guy they're gonna call. So again, it's an investment. Let's talk a little bit about magazines. So do I have any questions about this? And I have different levels. Like I got really good, like expensive ones, depending on the house, but I don't recommend you do this for, a little house or anything like that. But if you get a big one, this is cool marketing. Sellers love it. Same language.
How many do you mail out?
Keith would know that better than me. 1,000? How many do I mail out? somewhere around 1,000.
At least, no, yeah.
1,000, 15.
1,200, at least once a month.
Yeah. By the way, Keith's my broker. You know what's funny? I know if you do well, we get recruited all the time, right? The people are leaving the room. Am I fucking this up a little bit? I hope not. Shit. All right. I hope I'm not like boring anybody, but. Oh, that's embarrassing. I've never had people leave the crowd, so I'm guessing that it's time to take questions, and we'll talk about this next year. Yes, do we have any questions?
Yes, one other question, backing up a little bit to the pre-launch.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any ideas or recommendations if you live in a state that does not allow for coming soon's pre-launch?
Well, in my state, we're not allowed to do anything unless it's the day before it goes live. So I do that. The pre-launch is the day before. So I say coming soon, it's the pre-launch is one day. That's all it is. And then it goes live the next day. But it sounds good. Isn't that a good word? Pre-launch? You never know what's going to resonate with that seller. It could be the photography. It could be magazines, which I don't have time to talk about, especially when a third of the room left. And we talk about that. And there's just a million other tools that I use to try to win. But you never know what's that one thing that the seller's going to go, wow, I really liked your pre-launch. Sounds good. Yes.
Jordan.
Mr. Barry Cohen, no relation. And I wish it was. Look at a handsome guy right there.
That's about yourself.
Silver fox. What's up?
Should you have the confidence on every listing to discuss price at the listing, or do you often return either physically or by email what your vision on price is the following day or week?
Great question. Depends on the personality of the seller. I'm being honest with you. If I walk in and the seller's kind of an asshole or a little arrogant or disgruntled, and I know they're going to be illogical about the price, I know that. I can already hear it in their tone. Well, I know that other one sold for $3 million, but they didn't have ceiling fans. I know mine's worth $4 million. Everybody tells me how great my house is. I already know they're going to be a challenge, and I don't feel like arguing with them. I used to sit and argue with them at the time. So now the language that I use is I say, Mr. Seller, my goal today was to interview, hopefully have you be as confident as me as I am myself that I'm the best, to convince you that, and I can say this with confidence, Mr. Seller, I am going to give you the best chance to sell your home for the most amount of money. I know that because none of the brokers you're going to talk to market like I do. But today, I wanted to see your home. So like a doctor that looks at an x-ray, sometimes you need a little time to do the MRI before you can give a diagnosis. So today, thank you. Thank you for letting me see your home. Now I want to go back to my office. I want to study not just homes that, I say this because they like they're, not just homes that are sold. Because frankly, I don't really care. That's in the past. I care about the active listing. So the next one that's going to sell is going to be the best one at the best price. Does that make sense? They say yes. So I want to see how I saw your home today. I want to see how your home compares to the other one. So let me go back to my office, study, and I'll call you back. Basically, at that point, I just saved myself an hour of arguing, right? But in the days I used to argue. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, brother. By the way, Barry's a baller, man. He's the top guy in Canada, right, Barry? So I've known Barry for 20 years. Man. He was right after me on the stage yesterday. So much respect. Such a great guy, man. He works with his kids now. He's awesome. So, but did you like the way I did that?
I love it.
Yeah, thanks, man.
I return often. I don't physically return, but I send a report, mark report with the price the following day.
Yeah, boom, because I don't want to argue. But
And only to the people that are going to be problematic.
yeah, if they say, Jordan, we're going to go with it, I need to know right now. And if I know the price I'm going to say to them isn't going to be what they want to hear, I'll say, I'm going to tell you, you might not like what you're going to hear. But like a doctor, I'm like a doctor of real estate. You don't want to go to a doctor that's telling you to just put a little dirt on it when you have a broken arm. Don't you want the doctor that's telling you you need surgery? They'll say, yes, so I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. Fair enough? And I say that with them. They go, good. And then I just hit them with the price. But I never say it like this. I know you're kind of thinking of $3 million. It's really not, there's no confidence there. So I blast them. Do we have any more questions? And I hope you guys enjoyed my speech. Nadine, by the way, I met Nadine she's from Virginia, and I met her at my very first RE/MAX convention. And we've been friends ever since. Yes.
Is this on?
Nope.
Hello?
Yell it out.
Is it on? It is on. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, true story. So I was just so excited to be, it was 2013.